There are some people who had children just to keep a man. Some women, you deliberately got pregnant just because you thought that that would get you closer to the father, that would improve your relationship, that would get him to marry you. There are many reasons why you may have done this. And what happens is when it doesn't work out, now you have no use for the child, because now you have to raise a child. And you don't want to do that. You may even resent the fact that the child looks so much like their father. And so now the child becomes a problem. And I've often wondered, I've often asked God in the past, Lord, why do you allow certain women that are mistreating their children, why do you allow them to even have children? And I'm going to share with you something that the Lord shared with me. Because the purpose of the child being born was not for the convenience or the ulterior motive of the mother, but God brought that child into the world for a greater purpose that surpasses what she wanted. And so while that mother may not do what she needs to do, she may mistreat that child, she may tell that child, make that child feel ashamed for having a face of their father or being born, God has a purpose for the child. There are so many stories we hear about children that were either given up for adoption, left on a doorstep, abused, and they are now in great positions doing wonderful things in the world. And unfortunately, there are some children at the hands of their own parents. They did not live long. And that I've often questioned God and said, Lord, why did this happen? And the Lord had to remind me, He would tell me, Arlene, you see the body, but that child, that soul, was not 2, was not 5, was not 7, was not 10. And while the body suffered, the angels, my angels, I sent to collect them and bring them back. I knew them from before they were in their mother's womb. They had a purpose. While short-lived, in our mind and in this world, we have a mindset of how long a child should live, in what order we should die, and at what age is appropriate. But this is not God's purpose, and we may think it's wickedness and evil, but God sees a purpose. Some children will be on this earth, and they will see gray hair and grandchildren and children's children and all of that, and others, they are sent for a specific time. And I'll say, God, then why? Well, because the parent did not have to hurt that child. The parent had the ability to do what was right. And while we may think they get away, they don't. They will stand before God for that soul that they extracted from that fragile human body. But getting back to those parents who misuse their children, we can't understand why something happened and why it's going on and why they're experiencing these things. And I'll always say, figure out your purpose, because there's something greater that goes beyond you. And while that mother may discard the child and mistreat the child and now treat the child like a hired farmhand, giving them all these things to do, mistreating them, neglecting them because her plan did not work, God has something greater, and that's why that child was allowed to be born. God has a greater purpose. That mother will see that child rise up. If only that child would allow God to lead them by the hand and care for them and heal them and show them why things happen and show them the greater purpose that they have. Some mothers are mistreating that treasure because to you, it's just a kid. But that child is someone great. They will do something in this world. And some parents, by their own actions, change the direction of the child through their abuse and neglect. Opportunities come for the child and the parents say no, won't let them go anywhere. Jealous. And to those parents that do that, you're going to stand before God for the direction your child took because of you. Oh yes, the child will have to stand before God for their own choices, but you will definitely stand before God for the vulnerable years in their life when that child depended on you, needed you for food and shelter and clothing and safety and protection, and to understand who they were. God has a plan for that child that the mother wanted to abort, or the mother just had for convenience to keep a man. That child was born not for your purpose. That child was born not for your own vindictive purposes, but something that goes way beyond you and what you wanted for personal gain.